Hi, loves. So a little bit ago, I released a video, and I think it was called Anxiety, Insecurity, and Betrayal. And it was talking a lot about um, kind of a core way to find security for all of those things, which has to do with listening to our bodies. And I got a really amazing response and question from a woman that I wanted to address here because I think it's relevant to a lot of us. She wrote saying, I ironically experienced a kind of anxiety watching your video, and this is why. So she resonated with the idea, the reality of, okay, listen to your body to know what you should be doing, where there's a yes and where there's a no. But the anxiety for her has been that it has been her method to listen to her body over and over again with men. Her body sends her a clear, unyielding yes. Her mind sends a meek no. And for her, sexual desire is very much inextricable from a deep desire for connection. So she's clarifying that this is not just a carnal thing. There's depth to it. But essentially that yes for her, following the body yes, has led her actually to heartbreak over and over again. And it's caused her to feel like she can't trust herself, her desire, or her body yes. So her question, which I think is awesome and really good for all of us to explore, is how can you rely on a body yes in sexual situations in a way that allows you to feel like you're making good decisions around men, around choosing sexual intimacy? So there are a few reasons why that question's amazing. One is that it really fleshes out more than what that video was speaking to, which is like, all right, so what is the body yes then? Is it just that your yoni and your body's opening and there's a relaxation? Because sometimes that is not actually what leads us down the right path. I can speak for myself for sure. The amount of times that my body has been like, blasting open or even relaxing into someone and just, oh yeah, this is right. This feels so right. And in the end, it wasn't, or yes, it led to heartbreak, or I opened in a way that was deeper and more than what was warranted in the situation. So I wanted to speak to that a little bit, and I'm really grateful that you sent in the question, Remy. So how can you find, there's two things going on in that question, at least two things. One is, okay, how can you find a body yes that you can trust? Or where do you find the yes that you can trust? And the other is, again, and this question comes up so often, is how can I repair my trust in myself? I think if you've gone through multiple situations where, especially where you were actually listening and you were following the yes and you were doing your due diligence and discerning to your greatest capacity, and it leads you down the same road on again and again, which I have definitely experienced, there is not only this need to understand, no, where is my real yes? Where is the real compass? But also, can I trust myself again? Can I repair that sense that I'm actually not a very trustworthy steward of my own vulnerabilities? So I made a couple of notes. I hope this speaks to at least some of what you're asking, and because I do think it's a very rich, obviously very nuanced topic, because the yeses and the nos for all of us are so very, ultimately, they are so very languaged to our own being. How our yeses and nos, how our discernment moves through our own bodies is so very specifically languaged that really all we all have is this thing that we do, which is we go through life and we do our best and we learn as we go. And so I think there are some principles to consider as you do that exploration. The first one I would say is just to know that what's wanting to happen is coherency. So, in Remy's question, she's talking about, well, my body's feeling this, a big yes, my mind has a really kind of quiet no. What, in a way, how you know you're finding your yes, like a true yes, is not that necessarily that there's this like yes in your body or even a yes in your mind, but that there's a coherency in your being, that you feel whole. You feel like whatever it is, you can move forward in all of you. That's a deeper yes. So the body yes can just be like, yes, yeah, or even the heart, like, yes, like, oh my God, you are touching parts of me that have been waiting to be touched in that way. Like you are unlocking gates inside of me. This is, it's not exactly what she was saying. It's not just a carnal experience. But I would say to take the yes deeper is to realize that the yes is a coherency of being, meaning that if you're in front of someone in a sexual situation and you do have that experience of like, all right, well, this is my body saying yes. This is my heart starting to soften and open. And my mind has a couple questions. My mind is like, well, yeah, what about the fact that I'm pretty sure he just said he was married? Or, wait a minute, I saw a couple of red flags. That the deeper yes is to take all of those aspects of yourself, understand all of their needs, bring them together, and move coherently. So what does that really mean? It means, so your body is saying yes. There's a need, there's a truth that, oh, this person opens me, right? My body responds to this person. It's not a mental thing. I'm not disregarding my body. I'm listening. And what I'm hearing is a yes. And so yes, great. Listen to your body. Good. Step one. But when there's anything else, if it's some deeper part of you that's saying, I still have a question or two. I'm not sure about this potential red flag, or even just a small part of you saying, I'm not sure I'm ready. I'm not sure that this is right. The place of coming to a deeper yes that you can trust is to find coherency and incorporate those things so that you're not making a decision. So my video before was saying, get down out of your head, get into your body, find what's true here. This, where Remy's taking it, which is further, which is to say, all right, now you're here, now include all of your being. Now that you've got your body working for you and you're listening, include all of your being. Because those things that come up, Remy describes it as a meek no. It's from her mind. Think of it more like those are currents. Those are aspects of you that want to be brought into the coherency of the yes, so that you can move forward in a really safe way that you can trust. So in a situation like that, where maybe your body's got this yes, and some part of you is saying, no, I'm not so sure about that, you slow down and take a moment with that part of you. And the trick is, and there's a practice in the school about this, it's called alchemizing irreconcilables. It's about taking two things that seem to cancel each other out or be in conflict with each other and bringing them together into one thing. It's an amazing practice. You have to do it to really understand it. But the point of it is that if your body's saying yes, some part of you saying no, there is a way to not have them cancel each other out, or not have one or the other come into make the decision for you, but to actually bring them together to make a third thing. Meaning, so your body's a yes, your mind is saying, I'm not so sure. In a simple way, maybe you bring those together, and what ends up happening is just that the intimacy slows way down. Right? Or that you bring that together, and it's not that you're saying no, but you're also not saying 100% yes. And when you bring them together, what comes out of that is, oh, there's a couple questions I need to ask this person before I give way to my body yes. And what you can think of, instead of thinking of it as your mind, even if it's anxiety. Even if you want to think of it as like a wounding or something, it doesn't matter. If it's in your being, it's yours. And you want to bring it fully in and forward in intimacies and in your discernment. So you want to find out in a curious place, all right, what is that no? Turn up the volume on it a little bit for the sake of understanding what it's trying to tell you. And where you can run into trouble is when you're like, oh shit, my body says yes, my mind says no, I don't know what to do, I'm going with my body. This seems to be the best. Really, you want to go with your entire being, and you want to bring all of it to bear on the decisions that you're making. So you bring that body yes in, and you're like, yeah, I'm open, I'm interested, I'm drawn. And you take that no and you bring it in and you say, show me how I should move with this draw, with this magnetism, with this opening. Show me. Think of it as your guardian presence, right? So your yes always has the no around it, right? The no, the little flags, the anxiety, the hesitation, the wonderment, all those things. Think of that as part of your guardian presence speaking to you, and don't disregard it just because your body is saying yes or opening. But think of it as like your body has this beautiful, really important guardian, this really important guardian inside of you also that may speak as a thought or also a body sensation, or just as like a knowing inside of you, or a hesitation or an anxiety. And that if you can ask that, like, all right, this is symptomatic. This is telling me that there's something more I need to know to be coherent. And so again, what you're coming to then is not a yes or a no. It's more of a coherency of being. I hope that made sense. It would help if I could give you the practice. Come to the school. I'd love to have you. There's so many things in there that make these things that I'm saying an embodied experience that's kind of irreplaceable. But I know that you can also, follow my words, follow the suggestion into your own being. The coherency of your being is what you're looking for, where you alchemize, you pull in all the elements, all of you, and you come to something that you can really be inside of, and then move forward from that. So with that is obviously slowing down, and Remy didn't mention in her question how slow she's taking it. I mean, for me, that's been key. It's like, I have to slow down long enough to feel all that I'm feeling. So even if it's my body will often feel multiple things at the same time. My heart is maybe scared, but my sexuality is opening, that there can be multiple things going on in my body as well as in my psyche as a whole. So part of what's necessary for women, because we are so dynamic, there's so much going on, there's so much that we feel, and it's all these layers, is that we have to take the time and the presence with ourselves to bring all of that in and let it sift out and show us what's true. And it's not like, what's true might be, I don't know, and so I'm going to keep exploring, but it takes time. It takes time, especially say you come together with someone and there's a lot of energy and there's a lot that moves. Well, to let that settle and find yourself and really hear and meet all of you is going to take time. So be aware of the part of you that wants to rush into connection, like your own preferences and desires and or sometimes desperations that would push you, give you a false urgency towards something that you think you might mostly have a yes to, and keep you from coming back, sitting here, gathering yourself here and listening and bringing all the parts of you to the table so that all of your alliances, all of your inner alliances have had a chance to weigh in and shape the choice you're going to make. They won't be in conflict if you give them the time. You won't be in a conflicted state where you feel like your mind is a no and your body is a yes, or your mind is a yes and your body is a no. If you take the time and let them all come to the table and really, sometime I'm going to offer that practice outside of the school for those of you who can't come to the school, because it's a good one, a really good one. And so because you want to find coherency, and you can, but it's going to take time. It's going to take a minute. It's going to take you sifting through your own being and getting good counsel. So, you're not asking this question, but what I will say is all of us, myself and all the mentors of her mystery school, pretty much, I think all of us now have come into the most healthy, beautiful, and honoring intimacies we've ever had. But I'll tell you, one of the things that's made the huge difference is we all have dating committees now. We do not simply expect ourselves to be able to enter the terrain of sexual intimacy, to enter the terrain of potential love, potential connection, and make super clear decisions. We have realized that it is absolutely necessary to bring in other trusted women and tell them honestly what's happening, and let them ask the questions. Are there any red flags? What about this? This is what I see. Okay, well, what are you feeling? Like, to help us. This is one of the ways that we help each other, which is we say, all right, sister, you're feeling something with this person. We acknowledge and we know that this could be amazing or it could be devastating, and we all want to take care of you. And we will come with you and offer you counsel here. So this is obviously trusted counsel. But for me personally, it was huge because I was such an independent, stubborn human being. And it took it took devastation on the deepest level for me to come around and say, that's it. I will not start bringing another man into my inner world without counsel on board. And I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to let them help me, because I know. And this is, I think, one of the things where you start to repair your own trust in yourself is like, look, it's just a reality. It is so rich and huge and amazing to start to connect intimately with another person. There is so much soul, heart, body, longing, insecurity, power, that it's actually, maybe I could suggest, too much to ask of yourself to navigate that completely on your own. Yes, you want to know how to organize your own compass and stay close to it, but trusted counsel is huge, and your willingness to open to trusted counsel is an example of your willingness to hear all parts of you, to move forward with coherency, and to call yourself out on your own hidden agendas, hidden blind spots. Like for me, when I got to my willingness and my absolute necessity of having a counsel around who I bring in intimately, it was because I realized that, like, dude, my blind spots were not going away. They were blind. They're called blind spots for a reason, right? So the reason that we get into multiple relationships and we're doing our best, but we're not quite getting it, is because blind spots are blind. That's what friends are for. That's what trusted sister counsel, trusted medicine counsel is for. It's a place where you say, I'm going to listen to you because I know that you know, and I know that I don't always know. I know this terrain is a tricky one for me. So, knowing that there is a coherency wanting to happen, and that's where your deeper yes will come in. Coherency. And the slowing down and getting counsel is huge. Letting your being settle, making sure that you're taking that time. The other thing I would say is that there are deeper knowings in the body. So one of the things that came to me, Remy, in your question was that my experience has been that as I've gone deeper into the practices, so deeper into more of inner oracular knowing, my own like discernment that lives in my body. As I've gone deeper into that, what I've realized is that there are deeper knowings in my body that I wasn't connected to before. So, there are ways that I would have gotten a yes in the past or understood my body's signal to be a yes. Oh, my heart is opening, or I'm relaxing, or my yoni's opening, or it's all moving for me, and that would have been a yes for me, but not anymore. Now I recognize those are some of the things that are moving through my body. My deeper knowing lives even deeper inside of me, deeper inside of my sacred bowl, deeper inside, like deep in my body. So what I'm saying is there are deeper knowings in our bodies that quantify and clarify our yeses. It's like there are deeper places. It's why in the school we work a lot with indwelling oracular presence. What is it inside of you that just knows? And that actually, a lot of times, even though its signals can be body related, it's like a direct knowing, right? Thinking of an example, like I'm in a beautiful intimacy right now that's trustworthy. Before this, I had a stunning soul connection. And I mean, gorgeous in so many ways, heart in so many ways, chemistry, the whole thing. As I was getting into it, as I was opening into it, and I mean, my whole being was like, oh, we are doing this. This is what we live for. This is what I live for. This coming back to life. I mean, it was like, and another part of me, and I heard it clearly, was like, this man will almost certainly break your heart. And the truth is that I heard both. I knew both. I heard it, and I said, basically, I don't care. This is worth it. This kind of, I had been really shut down. I'd been in a difficult, painful marriage on some levels, sexually on some levels, and I had become very, like, my soul was suffering, and the way that I relate to sexuality is very much with my soul. It's very close to my beingness. So this intimacy, it was like, yeah, no, I don't care. I don't care. This is part of my worship. I am opening. There's nothing. There was a level of just like, it's worth it to me. In the end, it darn near killed me, and I'm not actually exaggerating. And but I knew, right? There was a deeper knowing in me. And what the deepest knowing in me was that we would have a time together, but it wouldn't be forever. I wanted, and it was my inability to let go when our togetherness and the purpose of our togetherness was complete. I didn't let go. So had I stayed on my deepest knowing, like the deeper place in me, it would have been like, Jemana, you'll priestess this man for a while, but then you'll let him go. And that's what this is. And had I listened to that, I would have had a much different experience, right? And so when I'm talking about the deeper oracular knowing, it's a place of knowing what is actually going on. And it carries us through these experiences. So that place of knowing was separate from my part of me that was like, he's going to break your heart. And I don't care. I'm going for it. The yes and the don't do that. There was something deeper inside of me. And that is where I orient now more and more, as much as I can, to that place of deeper knowing. And it does live in my body. It's not mental. It upwells inside of me. That's why we call it the indwelling, upwelling current of oracular knowing. And what I would say is that what you're experiencing as your body, yes, if it's kind of consistently leading you into situations that repeat the same heartbreak, there's probably a deeper knowing that resides in your body, in your embodied presence, that would serve you even more greatly to know really, like really what the yes is, right? Or really just what the truth is of whatever the situation is in front of you. The final piece that came up for me in response to this question was about the recovery of knowing. And again, there's a practice in the school that we do called the recovery of knowing. Oh, it's actually, I think, part of one of the deep dives. Anyway, recovery of knowing has to do with if you've had a bunch of yeses from your body and you've obeyed them, but maybe you've had little voices elsewhere or little knowings elsewhere trying to tell you more of the story. One of the most empowering things you can do is to sit back, come deeply into presence with yourself, and recover your knowing, meaning how did you know that, for instance, that person actually wasn't trustworthy? Like there's so much that we often experience and know. It's like it comes in like a wave that, you know, you're doing your best to discern and to figure out what's really going on. In hindsight, you can really understand and you can validate a lot of things inside of yourself. So if you're wanting to refine your body, yes, refine how you discern, one of the places of power for you is to look back and say, all right, there's that relationship. I know what my yes felt like. Say, for instance, it ended because of infidelity. All right, how did I know? Were there signals? Were there other body signals? Was there a knowing? Were there cues to me that I couldn't hear or wasn't acknowledging? And can I claim them now? And incorporate those into your body knowing, right? So, those are the things where you start to realize like, when my heart starts racing or when when I'm opening at the same time that there's actually a little bit of like fear on the edges of it, that's letting me know that those are my signals of be cautious or something's going on here from my body. So again, that's a way of deepening into your body, yes, and your body knowing by saying like, all right, I've had some experiences now, and I can actually look back and harvest from those experiences how my body, despite having the yes and all the ways it was having, was also saying, be cautious, or let go, or this is not okay, and I wasn't listening. Okay, so then to just sum up, the question was, what about all the ways that my body says yes that still lead me down the tricky paths? And the answers are, or the things to consider are, know that you are seeking coherency more than just the yes. Coherency, so that you move as one being and you've brought all aspects of yourself to the table, to your discernment. Know also that there are deeper knowings in your body. So the path, the walk of letting your body speak to you, letting deeper knowings guide your way is a long walk. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to carve out inside of yourself. So what's quite possible is you're on the threshold of coming into needing to and wanting to, being ready to come into deeper knowings, your knowing of the truth that's deeper than what you've encountered so far, and that then will help you will become an even more trustworthy compass for you. The other point was to slow down. Slowing down, not just so that you can assess worthiness, should I open here, but so that you can bring all of yourself together and settle out, listen, and give yourself the space and time that your being will need, considering how dynamic your being is. And then that final piece was recover your knowing, and it's recovering your knowing where you can start to repair your own trust in yourself. So part of it is to understand that this is what we all do, is we learn through doing. We walk the terrain, and the only way to learn it is the way that we're learning it. So you haven't failed yourself multiple times. This is just, it's mastery that you're aiming for. But if you recover the knowing, if you take the time to really bring in to yourself and claim the part of you that did know, forgiving any parts that didn't want to listen, forgiving the reality that you have to grow, that you don't know everything all the time, and just recovering your knowing. Bring it close and into you again so that it's with you. And you can go with more confidence towards other intimacies and other things, knowing that you've harvested wisdom and you've come to know yourself through those experiences and become more of an ally to yourself through those experiences, rather than having proved that you're not your own ally through those experiences. So, whew! Do trust your body, but know that your body is one part of your whole being, and that there are levels and levels and levels of knowing in your being and in your body. And by all means, forgive yourself and forgive life. Partly by just accepting that this is what it is. And yeah, by wrapping yourself in gentleness. I mean, the question of, how can I trust this body? How can I trust this being when, all these things have happened? That question becomes more and more significant as we live through more of life and we face more of these experiences, as we continue to be brave and to be willing to be shown, to be willing to move with what moves us again and again, and learn discernment the only way that there is to learn it. So thank you, Remy, for the question. I hope this spoke to your question, and I thank you for sending it in, because I think it's really relevant to a lot of us. And yeah, thank you. Blessed be.